In today's report, police say former cop and murder suspect Joe Ferrari was also involved in the confiscation of over 400 luxury cars. Meanwhile, a massage parlor boss has been arrested on charges of sex trafficking and child prostitution, and Thailand is joining the queue to get its hands on a new COVID-19 treatment in pill form. Details on these stories and many more coming right up. Welcome to the Thaiger channel, and you're watching Thailand News Today, your Monday to Friday news roundup straight to your YouTube feed. So be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. In our first one, Joe Ferrari, the man accused of murder and fired from his role as police chief in the northern province of Nakhon Sawan, was also involved in the confiscation of over 400 luxury cars. According to Deputy National Police Chief Suchat Thirasawat, the disgraced former cop Titisan Uttanapon was involved in the seizure of 410 high-end vehicles that had been smuggled into Thailand from Malaysia and Singapore. 270 of the cars were stolen abroad. Titisan, whose penchant for luxury cars earned him the nickname Joe Ferrari, is currently accused of murder and in custody. It's alleged that he tortured and murdered a drug suspect during questioning by covering his head in plastic bags. Several other officers were arrested alongside him. Suchat says the investigation is nearing completion and the case should be forwarded to prosecutors next month. Suchat added that the seizure of a number of vehicles before they were smuggled into the kingdom shows that such action was illegal and that a number of the cars were brought into the country by foreigners who then immediately flew out of the country. Of the 410 cars confiscated by Titisan and others, only 5 have not been auctioned off by the Customs Department. It's reported that when the department puts these cars up for auction, Titisan's own men would bid on them and then sell them at below market price to collectors of luxury cars. A massage parlor boss has been arrested on charges of sex trafficking and child prostitution after evading police for more than 5 years. 63-year-old Prasad Sukhi, the former owner of the Natari massage parlor in Bangkok, was arrested by anti-human trafficking officers in the Bangkok Noi district of the capital. The case against Prasad dates back to 2016 when police raided his massage parlor following a report filed by an anti-sex trafficking NGO. According to a report, out of the 121 sex workers at the massage parlor, 8 of them were under 18. An investigation found that managers had paid substantial bribes to officers. Following the investigation, Prasad and 7 others allegedly involved went on the run. 5 people were arrested, and in 2017, the criminal court sentenced them to prison for procuring minors and migrants as prostitutes. The prison sentences ranged from around 8 to 13 years. Prasad himself was charged with child prostitution, employing workers under the age of 15, housing illegal migrant workers, money laundering, and illegally running a massage parlor. He subsequently went on the run. In the deep south province of Narathiwat, 4 suspected insurgents were killed in a gunfire exchange with soldiers on Sunday, and an army officer was killed in another clash with insurgents the night before. Reports say the insurgents killed in the incident were all wanted on court warrants, most of them facing charges for deadly attacks. Soldiers reportedly first started their operation last Tuesday, and a military unit surrounded a village in the Ba Chot district, where the men were suspected to be hiding. On Saturday night, the insurgents reportedly tried to escape, leading to a clash with soldiers, where a 35-year-old lieutenant was killed. There was also another clash on Sunday where the 4 fugitives were killed. One of the men was wanted on 2 warrants for shooting and killing a defense volunteer in the Ba Chot district in March and attacking a local police outpost in February. Another was wanted for a 2005 bomb explosion where 3 Marines were killed. Another was warranted for allegedly attempting to murder government officials in 2010 and 13. The 4th man was wanted on charges relating to a clash with a government force back in 2014. In the heat of calls and protests pushing for Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha to resign or be removed from office, political parties are now starting to name prime ministerial candidates for the next election, which will be in 2023. Prayut and his government also faced a no-confidence hearing last month. Although the vote ruled in Prayut's favor, many issues were raised during the four-day debate, including accusations of mismanagement during the pandemic and bribes in return for votes. A source told the Bangkok Post that the ruling Palang Pracharat Party said it will back the Prime Minister's bid for another term next election. The party leader also reportedly said they will nominate Prayut. The Democrat Party announced they are supporting their leader as a candidate for Prime Minister. The GLA Party, which was formed last year by a former Democrat MP and has no representation in parliament right now, is backing their leader as a prime ministerial candidate. According to the Post, the Secretary General of the GLA Party said the party's leader is also the former finance minister, and a top priority after COVID is to resuscitate the economy. While several parties have named their candidates for prime minister, the main opposition, Pheu Thai Party, has not revealed a candidate as of yet. A party MP did hint that the candidate will come as a surprise and will wow people. Thailand is joining the queue to get its hands on a new COVID-19 treatment in pill form. The new treatment from pharmaceutical giant Merck has not yet been approved by the US FDA or by Thailand's equivalent. However, after falling behind other countries in vaccine procurement, Thai officials now seem anxious to get in there quickly, with reports that Thailand plans to purchase 200,000 courses of the new treatment. Media reports say the U.S. government plans to procure 1.7 million treatment courses at a cost of $700 each. Trials show that the new drug could reduce the chance of death or hospitalization with COVID by 50% in those most at risk of severe symptoms. It's understood that Merck and its partner Ridgeback Biotherapeutics plan to apply for FDA emergency use approval as soon as possible. If granted, the pill would become the world's first oral antiviral drug for the treatment of COVID-19. Molnupiravir works by creating errors in the genetic code of the virus, thereby reducing viral load in COVID-19 patients and lessening their chances of developing severe symptoms. Following reports that drugs in the same class have been linked to birth defects in animals, the manufacturer says that similar studies of molnupiravir, which was given in higher doses and for longer, show that it did not have an effect on mammalian DNA. Phase 3 trials have shown the treatment to work against all COVID mutations, including Delta, which has been behind most of the recent deaths and hospitalizations around the world. On the stock exchange, shares in Merck rallied following the news, while shares in Atea Pharmaceuticals, developers of a similar treatment, rose by over 21%. Meanwhile, shares in some vaccine manufacturers fell. It's understood that both Pfizer and the Swiss healthcare and pharmaceutical giant Roche are also working on an antiviral pill for the treatment of COVID-19. Officials say widespread flooding that has affected Bangkok and several other provinces is showing signs of easing. However, there are already forecasts of another storm that could affect Thailand from next week. So far, 8 people have been killed by the floods, with 1 woman still missing. Thousands of homes have been affected across 32 provinces. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation says floodwaters are now receding in 14 provinces, mostly in the north and northeast of the country. However, areas of central Thailand are still battling rising water levels. In the historic city of Ayutthaya, media photos show the giant reclining Buddha statue surrounded by floodwaters and monks in paddling boats. The flooding is a result of seasonal rainfall, but has been made worse by water flowing from the Chao Phraya River. According to a report, the reservoirs and dams along the river are unable to stop the steady flow of water during the wet season, with many reaching capacity last month. As a result, they were forced to release more water in recent days, further exacerbating the flooding situation downstream. A government minister in Indonesia has confirmed that the island of Bali will partially reopen to arrivals from certain countries. However, the list does not currently include Australia, which is a significant tourism market for Indonesia prior to the pandemic. According to an AFP report, Luhut Panjaitan says that from October the 14th, the island will open for arrivals from South Korea, China, Japan, the United Arab Emirates, and New Zealand. The minister has not confirmed if the opening will apply to tourists or only people with a residence permit. However, all arrivals will need to show proof of a quarantine hotel booking for at least 8 days, which they will have to pay for themselves. There has been no confirmation of what other restrictions or criteria might apply. Indonesia is emerging from a devastating wave of the highly contagious Delta variant, which at one point in July saw the country report over 56,000 new infections in one day. The worst hit areas were plunged into lockdown with the closure of all non-essential businesses and limits on movement. The economy of Bali has been devastated by the pandemic, with its normally thriving tourism industry now in tatters. However, infection rates are now falling as the government accelerates its vaccine rollout and restrictions are being eased, with cinemas, offices, and shopping centers reopening at reduced capacity and on-site learning resuming at some schools. Yesterday, Indonesia reported 88 COVID-related deaths and 922 new infections. And that's all for the news, but check out the videos that just popped up to see other shows on the Thaiger channel. Thailand News Today will be back tomorrow. Meanwhile, you're now up to date on the Thaiger.